Imagine getting everything you ever wanted through lies. A full scholarship to an American university, $85,000 a year. Freedom from the crushing pressure of Indian entrance exams. A fresh start in a new country. And then imagine being so confident, so convinced you'd gotten away with it, that you decide to brag about it on the internet. In detail. Using your real Reddit account that follows only one university subreddit, the exact university you're attending. This is the story of Aryan Anand, a 19-year-old from India who built an elaborate house of cards and then lit the match himself. Let's go back to where this story really begins. India, 2023. Aryan Anand was a high school student facing one of the most stressful experiences in Indian education, preparing for college entrance exams. If you're not familiar with the Indian education system, it's brutally competitive. Millions of students compete for limited spots at prestigious institutions. The pressure is immense. Families invest everything in their children's education. The stakes couldn't be higher. Aryan was supposed to be preparing for the JEE, the Joint Entrance Examination, which is the gateway to India's elite engineering colleges like IIT. But according to his own confession on Reddit, he wasn't prepared, not even close. He wrote that he entered 11th grade aspiring for JEE but struggled significantly. He barely passed with 49%. That's not the kind of performance that gets you into top engineering programs. By 12th grade, Aryan had enrolled in what's called a dummy school in India. These are schools where students are technically enrolled, but don't actually attend classes regularly. They're meant for students who are focusing on entrance exam preparation at coaching centres. But Aryan admits he continued with minimal studying. The 10th board exams had been cancelled due to circumstances, and he hadn't developed the discipline or seriousness needed for academic success. He realised he wouldn't be able to get even a 50 percentile in JEE. That's when panic set in. What do you do when you're not academically prepared? When traditional paths are closing? When family expectations are crushing you? For most students, you accept reality. Maybe you take a gap year. Maybe you go to a less prestigious school. Maybe you find a different path. Aryan chose option 4, massive, elaborate fraud. According to his detailed Reddit confession, Aryan started looking at colleges abroad, specifically in the United States. American universities, especially elite ones, were attractive. International prestige, better job prospects, escape from the Indian education pressure cooker. But there was one massive problem: cost. Studying in America can cost crores of rupees. For context, that's millions of dollars. Most middle-class Indian families can't afford that. So Aryan needed financial aid. He needed scholarships. He needed to convince American universities that he was an exceptional student worthy of significant investment. And he was willing to lie about absolutely everything to make that happen. In his Reddit post, Aryan described his process with shocking detail and zero remorse. He wrote, and this is essentially quoting his own words, "I got my results for 9th through 11th class edited. I edited them in a very perfect way. Anyone would not recognize it as edited." He wasn't talking about minor grade inflation. He wasn't changing a B+ to an A. According to court documents later filed in the case, Aryan had actually scored 58% in his 12th class boards. That's barely passing. He edited his transcripts to show 91%. That's a 33 percentage point difference. That's transforming failure into excellence with Photoshop. But transcripts were just the beginning. Aryan needed official communication from his school. American universities don't just accept documents from students. They want verification. They want to hear from school officials directly. So what did Aryan do? He made a fake email ID that looked official. He bought a similar website domain to his actual school. If the school was something like schoolname.com, he'd register schoolname.edu.in or something close. Then he created email addresses like principal@schoolname.com. Think about the level of premeditation here. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment lie. This was systematic fraud. Creating fake email addresses, buying domain names, responding to university inquiries while impersonating his school principal. According to court documents, Lehigh University later discovered that the email address Aryan provided, principal@hisschoolname.com, was created right around the time he submitted his application. Suspicious timing, to say the least. But Aryan wasn't done. He also needed a compelling personal essay. American university applications require personal statements. You need to tell your story, explain who you are, why you deserve admission. Writing a good college essay is hard. It takes time, self-reflection, genuine experiences to draw from. Aryan had a shortcut, ChatGPT. According to reports, Aryan admitted to using ChatGPT to write his admissions essay. He fed the AI prompts about his supposed achievements, his goals, his challenges, and let it craft a compelling narrative. The irony here is incredible. He's using artificial intelligence to fake intelligence to get into an institution designed to develop intelligence. It's fraud all the way down. With his fake transcripts, fake email account, and AI-written essay, Aryan started applying to American universities. He aimed high. Ivy League schools, top 25 universities, the kind of institutions that have single-digit acceptance rates. Most of them rejected him, which makes sense. Even with inflated grades, he was competing against genuinely exceptional students from around the world. But then he got an acceptance. Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a private research university, ranked in the top 100 nationally, prestigious, expensive. And they didn't just accept Aryan. They offered him almost a full scholarship, $85,000 per year in financial aid. That's over $300,000 for a 4-year degree. Aryan must have been ecstatic. Against all odds, despite his actual academic performance, despite having no legitimate qualifications, he'd gotten into an American university with a full ride. The American dream, achieved through American fraud. But there was one small problem. Even with the scholarship, there were still costs. Housing, food, books, travel, miscellaneous expenses. Thousands of dollars that weren't covered. So Aryan needed more aid. He needed the university to think he was in desperate financial straits. He needed them to believe his family couldn't contribute anything. And he decided the most effective way to do this was to kill his father. Not literally, of course, just on paper. According to his Reddit confession and subsequent court documents, Aryan created a completely fake death certificate for his father. He wrote on Reddit, "I created a completely fake death certificate of my father, sent that to Lehigh College saying my dad got cancer and is dead." He claimed his father had died of cancer, leaving the family in financial ruin, making it impossible for them to contribute to his education. This is where the fraud crosses from ambitious lies into genuinely disturbing territory. Faking grades is dishonest. Using ChatGPT for essays is cheating. Creating fake email accounts is fraud. But faking a parent's death? That's a different level of moral bankruptcy. That shows a willingness to exploit genuine tragedy, to manipulate people's sympathy, to weaponize death for personal gain. And it worked. Lehigh increased his financial aid package. They wanted to help this brilliant young international student who'd overcome so much, who'd lost his father, who deserved a chance at a better life. Except none of it was true. His father was alive and well, living in India, probably having no idea his son had killed him off for scholarship money. August 2023. Aryan arrived at Lehigh University. Freshman year, new country, beautiful campus, smart classmates, prestigious education. All funded by lies, but hey, he'd gotten away with it, right? He was living the dream. Classes started. He settled into dorm life. He made friends. He joined the university community. And somewhere along the way, he started feeling invincible. This is where human psychology gets interesting. Aryan had pulled off something incredibly difficult. He'd fooled admissions officers, navigated complex application systems, maintained his lies through multiple verification steps, and secured hundreds of thousands of dollars in financial aid. That takes intelligence, planning, and nerve. And apparently, it also breeds overconfidence. According to the timeline, Aryan was at Lehigh for several months. Fall semester passed. Winter break came and went. Spring semester started in February 2024. And that's when Aryan made his fatal mistake. He decided to tell the internet everything. On a Reddit community called BTechtards, a forum for Indian engineering students and aspirants, Aryan created a post. Not with a throwaway account, not with careful anonymity, with his regular Reddit account, username TransportationOK4728. And the title of his post? I have built my life and career on lies and fraud. Long. Not subtle, not hidden, not coded, just a straight-up confession. The post was detailed. Aryan walked through his entire fraud step by step. How he edited his transcripts, how he created fake email addresses, how he used ChatGPT for his essays, how he faked his father's death certificate, how he got accepted to a top 25 US college with almost full financial aid. Everything.
Why would someone do this? Why would you confess to massive fraud on a public forum? According to people who read the original post before it was taken down, Aryan seemed proud. He was bragging. Look what I accomplished. Look how smart I am. Look how I beat the system. He wrote about it like it was a clever life hack, not a serious crime. There's also an element of seeking validation from his peer group. The BTechtards community is full of Indian students struggling with JEE prep, feeling the pressure of entrance exams, dealing with academic anxiety. Some of them might have found Aryan's story inspiring in a twisted way. Someone who escaped the system, someone who found a shortcut, someone who made it to America without the traditional credentials. But not everyone was impressed. Among the thousands of members in that community was a 19-year-old moderator, a student himself currently pursuing BTech in computer science in India. Someone who understood the struggles of the JEE system. Someone who knew how hard people work to get into good universities abroad. And someone who found Aryan's confession absolutely horrifying. The moderator, who later spoke to media but remained anonymous, said, "His post was horrifying. The fact that he faked his father's death. I have been a JEE aspirant myself. I have seen how hard people work for the SAT and to get admission to universities abroad. Here this guy was proudly boasting about his fraud. It felt like the morally right thing to do." So the moderator started investigating. He looked through Aryan's post history. He checked what communities Aryan followed on Reddit, and he found something incredibly revealing. Aryan's account followed only one university subreddit, Lehigh University. Just one. Out of thousands of universities, hundreds of university subreddits, Aryan followed exactly one. The moderator also found photos Aryan had posted. Campus buildings, dorm views. The moderator used reverse image search. The photos were from Lehigh University. Between the single university subreddit Aryan followed and the photos he'd posted, the moderator was pretty confident he knew exactly where Aryan was studying. But how could he verify this was real? How could he confirm Aryan was actually at Lehigh and not just making up another elaborate story? The moderator dug deeper. He analysed details in Aryan's post about his financial aid package, his status as an international student from India, his timeline. Everything pointed to Lehigh. The moderator made a decision. He compiled screenshots of Aryan's Reddit posts. He wrote up a summary of what he'd found, and he sent an email to Lehigh University. Not to a general admissions email, not to some random department. He found the university's ethics hotline, the official reporting system for fraud and misconduct, and submitted a formal report. At this point, imagine you're an admissions officer at Lehigh.
You get a report from some anonymous Reddit moderator claiming one of your students committed massive fraud to gain admission. Do you take it seriously? Reddit tips aren't exactly known for their reliability. The internet is full of trolls, lies, and misinformation. This could easily be a prank, a grudge, a misunderstanding. But Lehigh took it seriously. The university's police department started investigating. Sergeant Kyle Fisher, who led the investigation, later explained that admissions officials realized only one student could have authored that Reddit post. The post mentioned the author was an international student from India, on a full scholarship, first year, whose father had supposedly died. All specific details. And Lehigh had exactly one student matching that entire profile, Aryan Anand.
The investigation kicked into high gear. Lehigh University Police Department started examining Aryan's application materials with forensic detail. And they found everything. The fake transcripts, the fake email addresses, the fake death certificate. The metadata showing when documents were created and edited. The digital fingerprints Aryan left everywhere. Sergeant Fisher explained that any time an electronic document is altered, metadata is left behind. He compared it to DNA at a crime scene. The metadata captures location, dates, times, software used. It shows when a document was originally created and when it was modified. Aryan's transcripts showed clear evidence of alteration after they were originally issued by his schools. The death certificate showed it was created on a free online tool called I Love PDF, not by any official government agency. The fake email address, principal@schoolname.com, was created right when Aryan submitted his application. The tax documents showing his father's income had been altered to make it seem like the family earned less than they actually did. Every single piece of his application was forensically examined, and every single piece showed evidence of fraud. On April 30th, 2024, Lehigh University Police arrested Aryan Anand. He was charged with 4 felonies: second-degree felony for forgery, second-degree felony for tampering with records or identification, third-degree felony for theft by deception, and third-degree felony for theft of services. Each charge carried a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. That's potentially 40 years in prison for a 19-year-old kid. During police interviews, Aryan confessed to everything. He admitted to falsifying his grade 11 transcripts. He admitted to creating the fake email to impersonate his school principal. He admitted to writing the Reddit post. And he admitted his father was alive and living in India. The death certificate was completely fabricated. Aryan's confession was probably strategic. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Fighting the charges would have been futile. His best bet was to cooperate, plead guilty, and hope for leniency. And that's exactly what happened. On June 12, 2024, Aryan pleaded guilty to 1 count of forgery as part of a plea deal. Now here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Aryan faced 10 to 20 years in prison. That's what the charges carried. But Lehigh University, at the request of senior leadership, decided they didn't want to pursue maximum punishment. They wanted a quick resolution. They wanted Aryan gone, not warehoused in American prisons for decades at taxpayer expense. According to Northampton County Assistant District Attorney Michael Weinert, the university felt that expulsion and deportation were sufficient consequences. Aryan's student visa was revoked, his admission was rescinded, his scholarship was cancelled, he was expelled from the university, and he was handed over to US Immigration and Customs Enforcement for deportation back to India. This decision was controversial. Some people felt Aryan got off easy. He committed serious fraud, stole hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarship money, lied about his father's death, and he just gets sent home. No prison time, no criminal record follow him forever. Meanwhile, other students work legitimately their entire lives and can't afford college at all. But others understood the university's perspective. Lehigh wanted this to go away quietly. A lengthy trial, a student in prison, constant media attention,
None of that looks good for the institution. It raises questions about their admissions vetting process. It makes donors nervous. It makes parents of current students worry about campus integrity. Better to cut losses, expel the student, and move on.
The consequences for Aryan, though, are still severe.
He's back in India, expelled from an American university with a fraud conviction on his record. He's effectively banned from ever returning to the United States. Having a fraud conviction makes future visa applications nearly impossible. No American university will ever accept him again. Many international universities will reject him too. His academic career is essentially over. The emotional and psychological consequences are probably significant too. Aryan spent months at Lehigh. He made friends. He experienced American college life. He got a taste of what he wanted so desperately. And then it all came crashing down because he couldn't resist bragging about his crimes on Reddit. That's a unique kind of self-destruction. The moderator who reported Aryan became a minor hero in some circles. People praised his dedication to justice, his willingness to take action when he saw wrong. But he remained anonymous, probably because dealing with the attention and potential backlash wasn't worth it. He did what he felt was morally right and moved on. The story raised broader questions about international student admissions and document verification. How did Lehigh not catch this? How did fake transcripts, fake emails, and a fake death certificate all pass through their admissions process? These aren't small red flags. These are documents that should have been verified through official channels. The answer, according to experts, is that verifying international documents is genuinely difficult. Different countries have different systems. Schools in India might not have direct communication with American universities. Death certificates from foreign countries are hard to authenticate remotely. Tax documents from other nations follow different formats. Fraudsters know this. They exploit the gaps in international verification systems. After Aryan's case became public, other universities started reviewing their international admissions processes. Some implemented stricter verification requirements. Some started using third-party services to authenticate foreign documents. Some required video interviews to verify student identities and capabilities. The case served as a wake-up call for the entire higher education system. There was also discussion about ChatGPT and AI in admissions essays. Aryan's use of AI to write his personal statement raises uncomfortable questions. How many other applicants are doing the same thing? How can admissions officers detect AI-written essays? Should universities implement AI detection tools? Is using AI for brainstorming and editing acceptable, while full AI-written essays aren't? These debates continue in admissions offices worldwide. The ethical dimensions of Aryan's story are complex. On one hand, he's a victim of a brutal education system. The pressure on Indian students is immense. Competition for limited spots at IIT and other premier institutions is cutthroat. The JEE exam determines your entire future. Families sacrifice everything. The stress drives some students to depression, even suicide. Aryan cracked under that pressure and chose fraud over failure. On the other hand, plenty of students face the same pressures and don't commit fraud. Millions of Indian students study honestly, accept their results whether good or bad, and move forward with integrity. Aryan's choice to lie wasn't forced on him by the system. It was a deliberate, calculated, repeated decision to deceive. And the fake death certificate? That's purely morally bankrupt. No system pressure justifies lying about your father dying. The story also reveals something about social media psychology. Aryan got away with everything until he posted about it. If he'd kept quiet, he'd probably still be at Lehigh. But he needed validation.
He needed to share his cleverness. He needed internet strangers to acknowledge his accomplishment. That need for recognition, for status, for approval, destroyed everything he'd built. There's a broader lesson here about digital permanence.
Everything you post online can be found. Everything can be traced back to you. Aryan thought using a regular Reddit account with a generic username would keep him anonymous. He was wrong. The moderator found him through basic investigation, post history, photo metadata, community membership. These digital breadcrumbs led directly to his identity. The case also shows the power of community moderation and whistleblowing. One person, a 19-year-old student moderator, saw injustice and took action. He didn't have to report Aryan. He could have ignored the post. He could have assumed someone else would handle it. He could have thought it wasn't his business. Instead, he compiled evidence and submitted a formal report. That single act of moral courage unraveled months of fraud. For Lehigh University, the incident is embarrassing, but ultimately a success story. Their systems failed initially, yes. Aryan shouldn't have been admitted. But once alerted, they investigated thoroughly, took swift action, and handled the situation decisively. They showed that while fraud might slip through, it will be punished when discovered. For Aryan, the story is a cautionary tale. He wanted success so badly he was willing to lie, cheat, and manipulate to get it. He got it briefly, and then he threw it all away by bragging online. Now he's back where he started, except worse. No degree, no prospects, a criminal record, banned from America, all because he couldn't resist posting on Reddit. The final irony is that Aryan clearly had some intelligence. Planning and executing fraud at this level requires skill. Creating fake documents, maintaining lies across months of communication, navigating complex application systems. These things take ability.
If he'd channeled that intelligence into legitimate effort, if he'd studied hard, prepared properly, applied honestly to schools matching his actual abilities, he might have succeeded anyway. Maybe not at Lehigh, maybe not with a full ride, but somewhere, somehow, legitimately. Instead, he's a cautionary tale, a warning, a story told in Reddit threads, news articles, and YouTube videos. The guy who faked his father's death for a scholarship and got caught because he couldn't stop himself from confessing online. That's his legacy now. And it's a legacy entirely of his own making. In the digital age, your worst enemy is often yourself. Aryan Anand proved that you can commit the perfect crime, pull off an elaborate fraud, fool institutions and systems, and still destroy everything with a single impulsive post on social media. His story serves as both a warning about the ease of digital fraud and a reminder that in a connected world, nothing stays hidden forever.